out here. There is no good, and there is no bad. To survive out here, you gotta out-monster the monster.
Hi, welcome to What the Flick. I am Christy. This is Alonzo. That's Ben. That's Matt. Somewhere over there. We're all here. We're actually all here. 999, I've not seen it. My son was homesick with me all day yesterday, so I missed the 11 o'clock showing of 999.
You missed a good movie yesterday.
You guys got your shit together and went to it, so please tell us what it's about.
Yeah, so 999, we learn fairly early in the movie is the code for officer down. So the plan then is to execute some sort of 999 as a distraction so that bandits, I believe that's the term most people use now, bandits.
Blackguards.
Banditos Yankees, so that can commit another bigger crime. So this is a very involved, fairly complicated story that I was unquestionably enhanced by Alonzo telling me how much he didn't like it. So no question. So I'm going to do the same thing for you because I'm able to describe the movie because I was really concentrating. I was like, I bet it's confusing, so I'm going to pay attention. Anyway, the story is rogue cops mixed up with the Jewish Russian mafioso types. They have to commit a daring burglary for Kate Winslet, playing a Russian Jew. And then it turns out after they execute this daring burglary, no, they have to commit another one.
Let's make this one for the books.
Everybody down! Don't move!
Call just went out. 2.5 minutes.
Rapido!
What you got for me?
We're dealing with the four-man team.
They got pictures of my family.
Be careful what you Insta-Google tweet paste. This guy's the leader. You gotta ask yourself, who's that fourth guy?
Don't make me regret pulling you cops in for this.
You all right?
Yeah, man. I'm good. You?
It's like a changing of the guards. We changing out the frauds. I give these lions heart like my name ended in Oz.
I'm gonna find out what you fixing to do.
Does anyone believe something very big is about to go down?
I don't have a problem taking out a cop.
There's gotta be a different way.
I do a cop just like
999, officer down. Please respond, all units.
So the cast is really good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I would love to read the script that they all signed on to make, because I can't believe that they agreed to be in this shit
So
heap
what
of a
was
movie.
your-
Oh,
come
on, it's not. No. This movie is so stupid. I mean, it's like everything. We start out with this crack team of like ex-special forces and former cops and like super on the case. And by the end of the movie, they're like leaving fingerprints everywhere, and they are shooting each other in public places where they would just immediately get caught, and just all logic flies out the window. And then you've got Kate Winslet, every ounce of subtlety that she brought to playing a Polish woman in Steve Jobs, out the window. She's doing this big, crazy, like Kristen Scott Thomas in Only God Forgives level scenery chewing with the biggest Star of David I've ever seen anybody wear outside of like, Yul Brynner and David and Bathsheba.
Only by the hairdo.
And the hairdo. The hairdo does the heavy lifting in that performance. I just thought this movie had all these ideas, and then it frittered them away in the last act. The final shootout involves people who shouldn't even be where they are, and it makes no sense as to why they just show up all of a sudden. One of the big climaxes takes place in the far back of the screen, like this afterthought. This is a disaster.
Wow.
Well,
oh no!
I don't think it's a disaster. I don't think the last act is its weakest. I think definitely, and I did not particularly like the resolution, but because it involved the least interesting. Well, he wasn't even. I was going to say Woody Harrelson's the least interesting character, but he's not the least interesting
What an
character. He's all
amazing
right.
cast.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all,
yeah.
Chiwetel Ejiofor is sort of the lead, along with
And I
Casey
think he's
Affleck.
really good. I mean, I think everybody puts in
Everybody's
really good
good.
performances.
Except for Kate Winslet.
No, I think Winslet is fine. I did lean over to Ben at one point. I was like, "Do you think Kate Winslet is doing Ariana Huffington in this movie?"
And they did. What was the La Kosher Nostra.
I did like that line.
Any movie
Right,
that
talking
had
about
that was a good one.
Yeah, that was their name for the Jewish mafia that Woody Harrelson has. Oh yeah, La Kosher Nostra.
It was good.
And this is exactly how you know Atlanta when you go to Atlanta.
So that's the other thing, Alonzo. I think that you're right. I mean, there's some. After we're led to believe these are real, thoughtful criminal experts, former special forces, current cops, ex-cops. It's all given away in the first 15 minutes who these bad guys are. So it's corrupt cops. So you think these guys would be smart, but we have to believe that they have just found places in Atlanta where no one is. And so, I mean, their hideout is, again, it's some abandoned warehouse type place. And then there's a shooting under a freeway at night, but it's deserted. It seems like they've orchestrated it to that. Then there's a parking lot shooting also that was dumb.
Yeah.
That was dumb. There was no question that was
As
dumb.
someone who's from Atlanta, I will say I appreciated that they shot Atlanta as Atlanta. Because lately Atlanta has just been like, tax break. So it's just big city,
Right.
But they talk about neighborhoods and you see specific buildings and stuff. And I was like, Atlanta,
Ride Along also does that, does it not?
See,
Right, yes, another movie I don't want to ever see again.
I didn't find that these guys were showing a level of incompetence that wasn't promised early on. Early on, there's a discussion as to who Michael, played by Ejiofor, who else he's going to bring in. And he's like, yeah, there's a couple guys I know that I trust. And then one of them talks about bringing in a brother. And they talk early on like, this one we're not sure about. And that's the one that causes them problems.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of the problems that come out from that, most of the loose evidence comes from one guy.
Right, but my stuff's after he's not really involved anymore.
Yeah,
because I know what you're saying. I agree with you on
I still think
that.
he's involved. And then you see, look, there's other people who are purposely working against our ostensible heroes. I mean, I found this to be relatively consistent with some of the work that we like from John Hillcoat, like The Proposition.
Love The Proposition.
Like The Road. Even I didn't mind Lawless, where you've got bad people doing bad things to each other. This is a nasty, ugly little movie.
So also,
I kind of liked.
Yeah, I felt like there was the robbery in the beginning is long and violent, although these are guys who are trying not to hurt anybody, but it feels violent. And they're reckless with tasers.
Yeah.
they use a lot of tasers. But I was at the end of that, I was propulsed for 13 minutes or whatever, and I was like, oh wow, that was a scene.
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, but we've mentioned the cast, but let's just say because Affleck and Ejiofor are sort of the leads.
Anthony Mackie,
Clifton
Aaron
Collins
Paul,
Jr., Woody Harrelson,
Gal Gadot.
Yeah,
right.
Michael K. Williams.
Michael K. Williams, little part.
Great part that he plays. Norman Reedus briefly in this.
There are a couple scenes early on. The reason that I got so annoyed by how it all falls apart in the third act is that early on, I think Hillcoat shows that he's really interested in cop process, or a crime process even. So that first bank robbery is really interesting. That scene where they get the warrant for the drug dealer's apartment and they do that room by room search.
Yeah, that was
and there's
good.
the four people behind the shield. That's a really cool scene. I was like, okay, so he's really kind of breaking down how this stuff works. And then by the end, it's just that all goes out the window, and there's no logic left.
I didn't think we lost logic. I did think we lost the same feel, and we lost momentum, and it felt like, okay, how are we gonna resolve this in a way that's satisfying to anyone? The ending felt too quick, certainly too quick. Oh wait, this movie just ended, and we'd barely gotten to the sort of one more dramatic moment of good and evil confronting each other, and then we're like, oh well, let's just solve it.
Yeah. Do you think this story and what they're trying to do with the heist that begets another heist and the cops and the dirty cops, do you think this works better as 6 hours on TV?
Yeah, probably.
Where you're
I think there needed to be.
Sure.
I think if it hadn't ended when it did, and if there were another hour, that would make it too long a movie. But if it was the third hour or of another, where we then got the tension of, will the
right
how now that everybody knows who everybody is, how are they gonna?
Right.
Yeah, because there's a whole story about how Harrelson is a cop and he's an alcoholic and he's looking out for his nephew Affleck, and there's a relationship there that would have an interesting story to tell, and the movie just kind of blips over really quickly.
And the evolution of Anthony Mackie's character and his attitude towards his partner.
Yes,
yeah, that was interesting too.
That,
but needed more, I think.
It needed more, and so I think next time John Hillcoat Do a TV show. Thank you.
But that said, I was into it. I mean, if anything, I feel like my number's a little low. Like
what's your number?
I gave it a 6.8.
Okay.
I liked it, and it was headed for 7.5 to 8 range before the the last 10 minutes.
Yeah,
or so.
I give it a 6. I kind of liked it too.
I give it a 3. I think that there's a lot of potential there, and it just squanders it so terribly that I left the theater angry.
You're mad.
Well, if you want to enjoy this movie, definitly
listen to Alonzo.
listen
Go
to
in with
Alonzo
very low expectations.
and
That's
pay-
the secret, apparently.
Definitely pay attention.
I
Think
knew
hard.
what was going on.
All right, so their average is a 5.3. Where is it?
60% on the tomato meter.
All right, so it's the week of the Oscars, so it's dumping ground time. So see it or don't. Bye.